Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris the High Guy Jacobs, and today we take a look at part 5 in our 5-part series with a deep dive into the legendary heroes of Doomsday Last Survivors. And today in part 5, like I mentioned, we're going to take a look at how to mix and match all of the heroes that we've just spent so long going through and trying to understand so that we have a better idea on how to use them in the field, in garrison, in siege, and maybe have a better understanding on how to use them in general. So you can create your own lines and have fun with the heroes that you have available in your game. Now, first off, before we talk about matchups, ladies and gentlemen, we do have to talk a little bit about the mechanics of the game. Because in order to truly understand how to pair heroes together, you need to first understand what the heroes do and why they're important. Now, I've got Julia highlighted here because arguably she's one of the best heroes in the game for a couple of key reasons. Number one, she has this skills talent tree right here, which we'll go into, but it kind of goes to buff the amount of skill damage she does and the amount of rage she regenerates so that she can obviously put out more. But like I said, we have to address the mechanics, and one of that is understanding these talent trees. Now, each hero, you'll notice, has 3 talent trees to choose from. They've got a yellow branch, they've got a red branch, and they've got a blue branch. But with so many talent trees, there's 5 of each kind. How do you know which ones to upgrade? How do you know which ones to focus on? How do you know what a hero's value is based on simply looking at those talent trees? Well, first, let's take a look at the red talent tree, okay? Now, arguably, the red talent tree is your second most leveled talent tree. Typically, and I say typically because it's always based on the hero specifically, but typically you're going to level up your blue talent trees first, and then whatever you have left you'll put into your red. Because when you look at the red, what the red talent trees have to offer, you'll understand. For example, the red talent trees include Rider, includes ranged, infantry, leader, and overall. Now, when you look at these heroes, you'll notice in most of the heroes that I have, or that you'll level up yourself, you're not going to normally fully stock out the infantry or the ranged or the rider or the leader or the overall talent trees. Because here's the kicker. In the rider talent tree, for example, right? In the rider talent tree, the rider squad talent tree, every buff that you put into that talent will only buff rider troops. So if you have a march that includes rider and infantry, only your riders are getting buffed by all of the ones that are in here. However, in the skills side of things, because these aren't specific to the troop types, you're getting these buffs all the time, which is typically why you'll see the blue side or the blue talent trees filled out the most, because they're the most overreaching skills, or the most overreaching talents, pardon me. Okay? So again, you've got riders, which typically will only buff rider squads, ranged, which will only buff ranged squads, infantry, which only buffs infantry squads. You've got leader, which has buffs for larger rallies. Let's take a look at the leader squad. Okay, the leader one. You've got buffs to rage, which is good. You've got buffs to defense, and these are overall, which is good. You've got rally capacity, especially if you're looking to send larger rallies. That's a good buff to have when leading 3 or more troop types. So almost all of the buffs that you see here are specific to leading large rallies with multiple troop types and trying to do the most from there. But you'll typically experience a situation where, like here's a prime example. This is one of the reasons why Peter doesn't really do very well. He's got the attack tree, which only really buffs basic attacks. The leader tree, which does buff a decent amount of everything. And then the siege tree, which only buffs when he's sieging. Now, we'll go over the yellow and the blue ones here in a second, but the problem with a hero separation like this is that the meta is very heavy on doing as much skill damage as possible. And unfortunately, these heroes that attack basic attack right now aren't as valuable. Don't get me started on the fact that Peter is old and his skills need to have the numbers adjusted and balanced, but that's a whole different conversation for a different time. Okay, now that takes care of leader. Let's take a look at overall, which is going to be someone like Martin, for example. I just had him up here. Martin is overall. And that talent tree is going to give you a little bit of buff to everything, right? Like to little things. Increases engine squad defense. So if, for example, for some reason he was farming, right? Engine squad defense. Rider squad travel speed by 2. So like almost never do I ever use the overall tree because it's pretty poo-poo buckets. So in reality, you're going to normally do rider ranged or infantry the talent tree there. Maybe a little bit in leader, obviously, if you've got, you know, like one of the leaders that you'll have from there. And then probably almost never into the overall branch. Okay. Next, you've got, let's take a look at the yellow skill trees. You've got Zombie Hunter, right? You've got General, which I believe is, no, General. Who's got General? Oh, wait. She does. General. You've got Siege. You've got Garrison. And you've got Gather. Now, here's the thing with the yellow ones. The yellow talent tree is effectively the most specific talent tree because those buffs are only accounted for when you're doing the actual activity that they're talking about. So for example, the Zombie Hunter bonuses, the Zombie Hunter talent tree will only give buffs when you're hunting zombies, right? So extra damage to zombies, skill damage to zombies, only to zombies, experience from zombies, stamina recovered when you're fighting zombies. So it's only buffs that you get when fighting zombies. You do not get these buffs if you're fighting in the field or fighting enemies. They do not get accounted for. So they're very, very hyper specific. The general tab, even on someone like Bella, right? The general tab, you probably aren't going to have anything in. You're going to see much more benefit flushing out the skill side of things and then flushing out the rider squad. You could obviously do something in regards to grabbing the travel speed here to make her a little bit faster. You could absolutely do that as well. But it's going to be very, very, very specific to that. I don't even level that up very much at all, if ever. Okay. In regards to Siege, I did put Peter, for example, and I talented him out completely for Siege just to kind of try it. But of course, Peter's not really good at sieging anyway, so I'd have to try it on someone a little bit better. And I just haven't taken the time to really touch base into it very much. But truth be told, you'll still get more benefit from typically the skills talent tree or the specific hero troop talent tree, especially when you start to restrict what rallies you have. So you'll have all infantry rallies, for example, or all ranged rallies, for example. Okay. That goes the same with Garrison. Like, for example, I could have gone ahead and, you know, instead of doing all defense and then all infantry, the rest in infantry, I could have gone all in defense and then the rest into Garrison, which the strategy will tell you to do. It kind of does tell you to go into that a little bit, but the truth is, for all the utility that he has, he'll end up doing a lot, especially if you're an infantry main like I am, you'll have more infantry troops than the rest. He ends up doing better by buffing the majority of troops that you have, which in my case is the infantry side of things. If I had more ranged or more riders, I might think about, leveling out that general side of things or the garrison side of things a little bit to kind of balance that off. But since most of my troops are infantry, that's what I'm going to be defending with most of the time anyways. Okay. Now, the only two that you're really ever going to level up in regards to the yellow ones are the gathering tree and the zombie hunter tree. So for example, my gatherers, like Maxine, if I look at her talent tree, I've gone entirely into the gathering wing to finish that off so that you're gathering faster, you're bringing back additional resources, And you've got overall gathering speed, so you're gathering faster and bringing back more. It's just common sense. I'm not going to use her to fight, so therefore all I need to do is get her to level 44 so that I can fully proc out that talent tree. Okay? And then same with your zombie hunters. For example, I look at Russell. Russell I only ever use for zombie hunting, so proc out a zombie hunting tree. You do more damage to zombies, you costs less stamina, and if he's already costing less stamina, so it's kind of like a bonus. It works, right? So like it adds to the scenario of doing exactly what you want him to do, which is hunting zombies, regenerate a little bit so he can heal and stuff like that. But that's all he's going for. Okay, I'm not going to fight with him in battle. I've got him procced or leveled to zombie hunting. And then finally, we're going to take a look at the 5 blue talent trees. These are your most important talent trees. Okay, you've got support. You've got defense, right? Something defense. You've got field battle. So something like here, field battle. You've got attack. Again, Peter, attack. And then you've got skills. And skills is kind of your main talent tree to level out. See, right now we're in a meta where, and I say this a lot because it's very important to understand what does the best currently. And that's kind of what the meta is. The meta means what does the best, what's kind of like your top of the line that's going to be the most efficient, does the most damage, most sustainability, pardon me, things like that. What's most commonly used that has the most impact, okay? And right now we're in a meta where the majority of battles is going to be determined on who has the most skill damage and who can be smart in how they're absorbing skill damage and how they're mitigating skill damage and things like that. So right now, the main heroes that you're going to use typically will have, leaders, pardon me, will typically have the skills talent tree and then something specific to their hero types or their troop types, okay? But you still have those 5. You've got skills, attack, defense, support, and field battle. Now, the ones that you're mostly going to level up, like I said, are those skill talent trees, typically into those defense talent trees, okay? Or field battle if you're looking for a little bit of movement speed and things like that. That's kind of where you're going to find that. That's that mobility capabilities and things like that, okay? So when it comes to those 5, the talents, you'll normally fill out those ones all the way. So if I look at the skills heroes that I have, almost always they're going to be almost all the way filled out, at least to grab Predator's Rage at the end, right? Anything that we can do to generate as much rage as possible, and then anything we can do to increase as much skill damage as we can, okay? So again, I'll talk about this one last time. Double-edged sword for me doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm not a huge fan of exchanging more damage to take more damage. It just, to me, doesn't click. For some it does, and feel free to use it if you want. I find more benefit to having increased travel speed or something along the lines of, the flat damage reduction right here, okay? But typically, again, you're going to level those ones. The skill, you're going to level up almost all the way. Maybe not necessarily the attack. That one you might do a little bit differently. Like I said, I got to mess around with Peter here a little bit better. But if you look at someone like Johnny Carey, who is also attack, I believe I've got him, who's also attack, you're going to put levels into that and then, specifically read the talent tree or the talent nodes and understand what they do. Think about what they do so that you have a better idea on how to customize your heroes, right? One of the problems I have with this attack tree is that you actually have to take one of these like give and take type ones, but they do make it better by making sure that you're dealing more basic attack damage and reducing skill damage. So like you're doing less skill damage, more attack damage. And just like I said, if the meta is all about doing skill damage, those types of things really kind of counterintuitive, right? So in this situation, I'll probably end up doing more of the range squad, a little bit of the attack to give more of the benefit to the range squad abilities and things like that. Okay. But now that we have a better idea on the basically 15 different talent trees and how they kind of interact, we can start to take a look at the heroes themselves and what they do well and how to kind of pair them from there. For example, okay, if we're looking at something like Garrison, well, one of the best Garrison heroes in the game right now is Thunder. Okay, so you'll see him in Garrison typically all the time, but he might have a different leader or co-leader depending on right the strategy of what you're trying to do. If you pair Thunder with someone like Riven or Raigoro, for example, because if you look, they've got the same talent trees. It doesn't matter whether you have them, whether you have them leading or co-leading or not. There's no strategic difference, right? The only thing that's going to be different is based on their equipments. But even their levels, they're both bringing their skills, so it doesn't really matter. I could lead with Raigoro Garrison and have Thunder go co-lead and do just the exact same as if I was leading with Thunder and having Raigoro co-lead. However, if I wanted to do a little bit more damage in my Garrison, right? If I wanted my Garrison to do a little bit more damage, I might lead with someone like Miyamoto. I might lead with someone like Julia, for example, right? Someone who's going to pump out a ton of skills damage, regenerate a ton of rage, and bring a little bit more of that offense to it. Now, does it pay dividends to have someone like Julia leveled up to 60 and awakened? 100%. Arguably, she's probably the best hero in the game right now. With the amount of rage she generates, the amount of damage that she does with her 3-second silence, like she's arguably, in all of the talks that I've had, one if not the best character in the game. So do I suggest investing in her and having her up to 60? Absolutely. Have I done that? No, because I'm an infantry main, and right now I'm focusing on getting the infantry heroes up to 60 and awaken first. My next target, obviously I have to get Miyamoto there, right? So again, pick your lane, hyper-focus, and stay to it. But now that we understand how these work, we can play with them a little bit, right? If I'm a solid infantry main, I need to make sure that my that my Thunder is good, that I've got a good second co-lead in something like a Raigoro or a Riven, for example, which I'm still waiting for. I got a gun for her next time. I could have something like a Thunder being co-lead and Lewis being a lead, right? Because he comes with that skills one, so he's going to pump out more skills, and he does a really good job in Garrison. That's one of his other abilities, right? So he has a benefit to the range squads while garrisoned. He provides tons of buffs to to all troops, not just heroes or not just ranged troops, right? It increases skill damage by 30% at max level, right? That's for all troops, not just ranged. He only increases the HP of the ranged when garrisoning, but that skill damage is for everything. So he ends up being a really good utility character that you can put kind of all over the place. Something like if you're running, a rider main, you might choose to put Chasey in there instead. If you've got Chasey, right? Chasey's going to be a great garrison hero because she's also got that skills talent tree. So she's pumping out more damage, right? She's triggering those abilities more often. So you could have Chasey and Thunder, for example, which would be a decent line if you're a rider main. Or you could have Thunder and Jacob, right? Depending on who you have the majority of, maybe you're going to go Jacob and Thunder. Maybe if you're a ranged mid or a ranged main, you're going to go with Jacob over Thunder because Jacob provides the buffs to ranged troops. So this is why we're thinking about how those talent trees intermingle and work with each other. But once we understand that, we see that there's a ton of customization and capabilities to play the game that you want to play using the heroes that you have. Let's say, for example, you only have currently someone like Raigoro and Tom, right? Two totally free heroes you can get from the police station, and you can effectively awaken entirely for free. And guess what? They will do really well garrisoning your troops, right? That's not a bad setup. If you only have Tom, Raigoro's not something you want to write home to. It's got no, you haven't leveled up at skills yet, but you have a good Martin. Well, guess what? You could go Tom and Martin with Martin as your co-lead, and with all of the healing that Martin does, the sustainability is going to do decently well for you. Now, am I saying that Tom and Martin is a top rank line? No, but this is just showing you that there's a ton of customization in the way that you want to play the game. so that you're not always having to just use the top heroes just all the time. You can still do reliably well with Ryger or Tom, compared to some of the other ones. So don't fret. You don't have to have all of the top heroes. You don't always have to, like you say. You see what I'm saying? You don't always have to spend everything to get everybody. You can still do okay with the heroes that you'll get as the game goes out naturally. All right. So don't think that you have to spend in order to collect everybody. I spend a little bit, not very much. I try to limit it as much as I can. Don't get me wrong. I'd love if the game gave out more free shit. But I also understand that you have to make something somewhere, right? Anyway, I've got to apologize about my voice. I'm still a little sick. So just give me a second. I'm going to take a quick sip of my beverage. And then we're going to continue on. Now, we've talked about Garrison. And there's a lot of avenues that you have. You look at all the Garrison heroes that are available in the game, and there's a lot of combinations that'll work. I talk so heavily about Thunder because he does incredibly well. He will win fights for you at the cost of additional troops. Because don't get me wrong, the problem with Thunder is that he's expensive. He has a huge heal, but that heal will take troops that were lightly injured and turn them into... and basically bring them back to battle, and then turn them into, when they lose again, turn them into heavily injured. So you end up with a lot more going to the hospital, but he can absolutely be the make or break between winning a rally, losing a rally, sustaining a point, sustaining a checkpoint, you name it, right? So that's one of the reasons why he's so good. But if you don't have him, there's other options, there's other opportunities, right? So even if someone's a ranged mid or a ranged main, for example, they can still have a good Garrison line without having some of those top ones. They can still have someone like Lewis and Ryger and still do pretty okay, right? They can still have Tom and Ryger or Tom and Lewis and still do okay. Okay. So let's take a look at our siege lineups. And to me, my opinion, the number one siege co-leader in the game, you're going to find him in almost every siege line, is going to be Master Jin. Right? Because he does a lot of everything and all of his buffs are overreaching to everybody. But when we're looking at Siege heroes, we have to think, again, what are we trying to do? In Siege, you're trying to take down their defenses and do as much damage as fast as possible. Right? So normally your Siege lines or your rallies and things like that are going to be restricted to specific troop types, because that's going to benefit the heroes and make them hit a lot harder. For example, a Dut gives benefits just to infantry, and she ramps up very well. But she's not going to give those buffs to riders, so she wants to make sure that she's leading only infantry. And Bella, for example, is another great hero to kind of highlight, because she's got this skill that increases... Sorry, it's this one. When leading only rider squads, damage increases by 15%. Right? So even if she's leading riders and only one infantry, well, she automatically loses that skill. So a lot of times, even in rallies, you'll see them, they're restricted specifically to marches or to troop types. But having someone like Master Jin, for example, one of his benefits is that you can use him in any line, and he does really well. That's kind of what he focuses on, is that siege support. And since we're not going to lead with him, he's only going to be co-leading. The only thing that matters is his level. So you can have him at level 10. Not his level, sorry, his skills. So you can have him at level 10, but have him fully awakened, and he's going to be doing just as much and just as good, okay? However, who is he going to co-lead for? Well, that's when we look at our heroes, pardon me, that are specific to their troop types, right? That's when we look at heroes that are specific to doing well in Siege. So if you are an infantry main, for example, you might look for a Dut as one of your leaders. If you're leading only infantry, you might look for as Maya as one of your leaders. He would do pretty well because he has that skills as well, and he's going to hit really hard. Or you might look at someone like Eddie, who is specific. Eddie, I don't even think I have Eddie yet, do I? No. Eddie is specific to doing sieges, and that's what his skills will benefit. So you could lead with Eddie, have Master Jin as your co-lead, and hit really hard. Do a decent amount of damage, hit really hard, have good sustainability, right? And take those benefits of using him what he's for, using him for what the hero was designed for. Now, does that mean that Eddie is going to be the best one? No. Does that mean that Adut and Miyamoto are going to be best ones? No. You can really kind of play with it from there. If you're an arranged main, for example, you could lead Master Jin. You could have Julia leading with Master Jin co-lead, Lewis leading, Bard leading, right? Any of those heroes that do really well, kind of are utility heroes, or have skills that are specific to sieging. They can all lead Master Jin really well into battle, and honestly, that's where you're going to start hitting real hard and end up doing a lot of kills, bumping your kill stats, and kind of all the stuff, adding more sustainability into your marches. And let's say, for example, you're a rider main. Well, I mean, you could lead with Bella, for example. You could lead with Johnny. I know Johnny is kind of a special pick. He's more, how do I put this? He's got more kind of like, well, let's just take a look and you'll see what I mean. He's much more hyper-focused for what he does, right? When you look at Jonathan. Or, no, not Jonathan, sorry, Johnny. I was talking about Johnny, like this guy here, right? So he's going to be leading sieges as well, which is kind of exactly what he wants to do as well. So you could lead him or have him and leading Master Jin if he's who you have and you don't have any of the other better ones. Pardon me. You could lead with, if all you have right now, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, it wouldn't make sense that you didn't have any of the other heroes if you have Master Jin, but even something like Hank, where's Hank? Hank's down here. I have him level. Yeah. Even something like Hank leading, if that's what you have with let's say someone for defense in the back, like a Thunder, or someone like Bianca, right? One of these other heroes that you can get for free. There becomes a ton of potential with how those heroes will max around and bounce around. Okay. Oh, and don't forget Victor. I forgot to mention Victor when we were talking about Garrison. But Victor is really, really good when it comes to Garrison. Don't forget Victor Blackwood. This guy right here. I have to put a lot more into him, but he's there too. Now, lastly here, because I'm noticing the video, we're still moving on here. And again, the video is mainly just to give you ideas on how to use them. There's a ton of utility and potential still in the battlefield, because most of this game, or a lot of this game, does involve fighting in the field, sometimes controlling 4 or 5 troops at a time, and it can get confusing. And if you're trying to set out 5 marches, for example, you want to kind of know which marches do good, which marches do bad, and all of that. Now, granted, the majority of what you'll be doing in the field is going to be troop-specific marches, right? Like, well, I'll give you one of the main ones right now, is Adut and Miyamoto. Both of them are only boosting infantry squads, so you're only leading infantry squads, right? Something like Bella Elena, right? Where you're only leading rider squads. Something like Lewis and Julia, something where you're leading only range squads, right? So those troop-specific marches are always going to be there. However, if you are in a situation where, let's say you're trying to man 5 marches, you've got 3... Like, you've got a full infantry, a full rider, and a full ranged march out, but your 4th and 5th are both mixed marches. Well, this is a key situation where you can start to look to some of these other support heroes or battlefield heroes to help you out with that. For example, one hero that loves to be in battlefield, she loves to be fighting, is Bianca Drake. She wants to be in big group fights, group battles with 5 or 6 of your friends, 7, 8, 10 of your friends, because her abilities, right, as we noticed, are going to also trigger for nearby allies. So she's providing attack, defense, and rage to nearby allies. So she wants to be in fights. But if you're in a situation where you're looking for that last march or that 4th or 5th march to send out, well, there's nothing wrong with sending out something like Lynn and Bianca, right? Having a good battlefield tech with Bianca. Sending Bianca out with Chun, for example. If you've got Chun leveled up and you don't know what to do with her and you don't have any other ranged heroes to use, we'll throw Chun with Bianca, right? Chun leads, Bianca follows as a co-leader and go into battle, 3, 4, 5 marches, right? You could use her with Felix if you want to get some more battle attack or basic attack damage in there. You could even pair with someone like Robert if you've already got Adut and Miyamoto, and you've got a bunch of infantry left with a little bit of something else, put Robert with Bianca. Well, Bianca's going to come support the rest of the troops, right? And help in those big team fights. You could even go, and I'm gonna break my rules a little bit. I haven't talked about any of the purple heroes yet, but you can even look at a hero like this guy right here. If you haven't looked at Alexander Sokolov, I suggest reading his skills. He's a massive buff master. Like he with this right here, this capability right here, makes him very, very useful even today in fights and things like the arena, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so if you haven't yet looked at Alexander, take a read at his skills. And then start to use him in field battle, and you'll start to notice a difference. Even if you use him in Arena of Doom, you'll start to notice a difference, okay? So the idea behind field battle, especially if you're running 4 or 5 marches at a time, is to take advantage of the heroes that provide blanket buffs, right? So you're still going to have your Adut Miyamoto, you're still going to have Bella Elena, you're still going to have, Lewis and Julia, or maybe Lynn and Julia instead, and then you can run Lewis and Bianca, right, as your 4th march, because Lewis already gives good buffs to like a little bit of everybody, and then having someone like Bianca buffing everybody already makes for a really good, has good synergy. So when it comes to field battle, when it comes to siege garrison, the whole purpose of the game is to understand how the heroes themselves work, and then you can decide on how they work together or how you want yours to work together based on the heroes that you have. Okay? But that's it, guys. That is about it. That is going to end part 5 of our 5-part series, taking a deep, deep, deep dive into all of the legendary heroes and a lot of their potential, and then obviously some of the mechanics that go with it. Like I said, guys, if you liked what you saw, if you've made it this far, thank you so much. If you haven't yet, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget the notification bell. I send out new videos every Saturday morning at 4:20. If you'd like to join us, we're currently in region 474. We are obviously recruiting active players always. We have an academy open as well for those who are not quite at the might limit. So you're welcome to message me. You're welcome to ask me questions. I love to help people. That's what I'm here for. Share the channel with friends and family who you know that play the game, because as it stands, there's a lot of new players and the same mistakes are getting made all the time. So if I can help that, that's kind of ideal. If you're a more competitive player and you want a more competitive game, come and join us. That's kind of what we're creating here at the Grow Up, which is obviously my alliance. We are in region 474. Feel free to message me. And with that being said, guys, stay lifted. Have a great day. And I wish you all the best in your lucky roulette draws. Okay? Peace out.